What is going on, fellow YouTubers? Shadow Gamer AX coming at you with another top 10 video for you guys today. Now, as we draw closer to the end of the year and as we get into a new generation of gaming, I figured I'd reminisce about my old ps1 days, if you guys don't mind. So I figured to myself, I thought to myself, alright, so we're entering a new generation of gaming, a new generation especially of games. I figured I'd try to get my 2 cents on how I started being a gamer and how it all started for me. What kind of games did I start with? So I figured I'd do a 3-part series. So starting off with this one is going to be the PS1. Now this list is full of games that you may or may not have heard of. But also I am curious to know what your favorite top 10 games of the PS1 days are. Please let me know in the comments down below. And with that being said, let's get into it. In the number 10 spot, we have Tony Hawk Pro Skater 2. Now, back in the day, it may not be much nowadays, but back then, us gamers loved the fact that we were able to see Tony Hawk bust himself in the ass. That was funny. I always liked the game because it really had back then the graphics were kind of good. Back then we used to do kind of death-defying tricks, and seeing if it would land or not and seeing him bust his ass was twice as funny too. But it was a good time overall, and I believe the first time I played it was on a demo that you got on Pizza Hut when you ordered some kind of they had a special deal going on where they gave you PS1 demos and they tested out and beta tested, I guess. Man, those were the days. Number 9 is Doom. Okay, yeah, I know. I was never really into Doom, but back then I used to love to watch my brother play Doom all the time. Whether it was on PC or whether it was on PS1, it was fun watching my brother play. I just sat back and watched. I was never really a fan of Doom, but I can appreciate what it had. Especially now that this franchise is still strong and the fan base is strong to this day, earned the spot at number 9. Number 8 is NHL 98. I wasn't big on hockey back then. I wasn't really a hockey fan. I'm still not a hockey fan. But the 98 game was something that I really enjoyed playing. God knows what. Every time I got off school, I would either play 2 games. A snowboarding game and a hockey game, because it was kind of fun during that time. Back then football games weren't as polished out as they are now, but hockey was it was a fun game to actually explore back in the 90s, at least for me. I don't know about you guys. I love the fact that you're able to fight each other and punch them and punch your lights out and just have fights in it. That was my favorite part of the game. But to each his own. Number 7, we have Frogger. Oh my god, the stories I can tell you with Frogger. I remember one time me and my sister were playing Frogger. I had the secondary controller, and I kept getting my ass flattened on that road. And I also heard stories about my other family members where my uncle was actually playing the game, and he takes this controller because he keeps getting squashed by a car, and smashes it on the ground, takes it and throws it. I wish I was born to where I could see that. I mean, I can understand that. It's a frustrating game. I mean, who wouldn't take a controller and smash it on the ground because they're frustrated? Anybody would do that. Especially a game that you can never win. That's just me. Number 6, Gran Turismo 2. Yeah, I know. It was towards the end of PS1's life cycle. I know it was big in PS2 version and era. Um, I've actually played both versions on Gran Turismo 2 on PS2 and PS1, but where I started was Gran Turismo 2. It's a good game. I love the fact that you have cars to choose from nowadays. Gran Turismo is still strong with a strong fan base, but it's kind of losing its touch. Now it's just like NASCAR, like in every other NASCAR game. Back then it used to have a lot of cool cars. Now it's just stock car racing and nah. But if you're asking me what kind of Gran Turismo games I would recommend you guys, it would be the earlier versions. You just have to take my word for it, or you can probably look up different YouTubers that talks about that kind of stuff or are knowledgeable about it. But the earlier Gran Turismo games were very good. I liked all of them. I really did. Number 5, we have Ape Escape on the PS1. I really like. Do you guys remember earlier in the video when I said there was a demo? This game was one of the demos that came with Pro Skater. It had a Final Fantasy game, which I'll get into next. And believe it or not, it was the Crash game that I will review after Final Fantasy. All of these games that the demo had was one of my favorite games of all time, believe it or not. There was a lot of games that I loved, and Ape Escape had to be one of them. Ape Escape 1 is one of the most best adventure games you could ever try out and play. It may not be to most people, but it's definitely in the top 3 for most gamers. Ape Escape 2 is okay in its own right, but I feel like Ape Escape 2 was doing something kind of new at the time, and it kind of took away from what Ape Escape 1 had. For one, I think it was because it was starting off on a new platform, which was at the time PS2 rather than PS1. When companies transition to a new console or new platform, they have to adjust over time. Sometimes their first games aren't that great, but it's doable. That's a little fun fact for you guys. Number 4, we have Final Fantasy VIII. If you ask me what kind of Final Fantasy game was my all-time favorite, 8 has to be up there on my top spot, because for me, it kind of Final Fantasy VIII really kicked off most of my gaming career. It's how I got hooked on Final Fantasy to begin with, and it encouraged me to pick up all kinds of Final Fantasy games. Some I liked, some I didn't like. But I don't take those memories for granted. Now I know I have my reasons for putting 8 rather than 7, but that's because 7 is getting a remake next year, and I want to savor that for a review. So there you go. That's why I'm not putting 7 on there, on this list. But to each his own, I suppose. Now, the first time I played Final Fantasy VIII was from the Pizza Hut demo that had Ape Escape 1 on it. It had Crash Team Racing, and it had Tony Hawk Pro Skater. Those games were really fun to play at the time, and it was a fun time. Number 3, and you probably actually guessed it, the whole Crash Bandicoot franchise. I can't even tell you. I cannot tell you which one is my favorite, because all of them are equally great. One of the best of all time, if not better, than the other. I mean, we can go all day on which one's the best, which one isn't. I'd have a field day. But if we're being completely honest, I think 2 is my favorite of all time. That's just how I look at it. But each and every single Crash game that I've ever played, I had so much fun playing it with my sister. Me and my sister used to play this game non-stop. where I have this funny memory where we used to get a big jar of pickles, like dill pickles, not sliced, but just a whole stick. And we would take turns with the controller, and while one of us dies, we take turns on playing the game and control. While one of us plays, the other would eat the pickles out of the jar. And I remember my folks getting so pissed at the time, especially my mom. But it was fun. Like back then, those days were fun, and I hold them dear to my heart. Everything that kind of got me into gaming was indeed Crash. Man, those were good times. Man, they are. And I miss them. Number 2, we have NFL Blitz 99. Oh man. I remember the first time I played NFL Blitz 99 was when me and my folks were on a road trip. We always used to stop at CC's Pizza, and we used to get all kinds of buffets and food and all that stuff. And across the corner, there was a NFL Blitz 99 arcade game that I would always go to and play. Of course, it was fun. This game had it to where you're tossing people around, body slamming them, and even today, I still remember. I kind of got the arcade version of the game on ps1, but lost it sometime down the road. But it was a fun game. I've never enjoyed a game quite like this before. And if you're asking me what kind of NFL game would I recommend you guys on PS1, that would be the one. Try NFL Blitz 99. You could do all kinds of illegal stuff in there. Body slamming them, talking trash. They had it all back then. Man, those were the days. And the last game on this list is none other than 989 Studios' Cool Borders 3. This is the game that I've always enjoyed in my childhood, and this is one of the games that I will always remember going forward. I remember every time I got off school, I used to go down there, I used to go to my bedroom, and I used to play Cool Borders 3. I kind of got, when I got, years later when I got my PS3 and PSP, I would always download that game. It's a game that I really love to this day, and though it may not have like free roaming like SSX has, I love this game. This is how I started snowboarding games, how I love snowboarding games. This game kind of kickstarted everything for me as a gamer. I remember all of the cheat codes. I remember all of the characters that were in there. I even had my first name in this game. That's just kind of one of the reasons why I loved it growing up as a child. There was avalanche courses where you had to snowboard and dodge all of the snowballs that are going to hit you all the way down to the bottom of the peak. It was fun. Races, air tricks. For a PS1 game, that was very fun to play. In fact, every single one of these games on this list was very fun to play. The most fun thing that I've always loved about PS1 and PS2 games was indeed the cheat codes. Man, the cheat codes were fun. Oh man, you get to unlock certain things that that kind of like developers had for you, and I miss cheat codes, guys. I really freaking do. But guys, that is my list. That is my top 10 games that got me hooked as a gamer. Please let me know your top 10 in the comments down below. I'd love to hear your top 10 games that got you hooked as a gamer. Stay tuned for part 2, because part 2 is going to be fun to do. Part 2 is going to be the best. So I hope you guys stick around for Mr. Murphy's Law Reversed. I hope you guys will stick around for another top 10 anime. I got 2 of them in the works, so after this video, so I hope you guys will stick around for that. Like, share, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Have a wonderful Christmas, and I really, really hope you guys have a wonderful, splendid New Year. Peace.